Hello, everybody.
Hi, David.
Hello there.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, this is
Hi,
fantastic.
Hey, how you doing, Dave and Kiki?
Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Where are your caps and gowns?
Oh my goodness.
I'm running at it.
They're in the storage closet at UMass Boston. My gown and cap is socially isolated right now.
Okay, I'm donning my cap and hood.
Excellent. That's great. Well, fantastic, everybody. It's how could we not say how bizarre this is, right? On the one hand, it's wonderful to see all of your faces smiling, and wonderful to see you in this kind of new, bizarre, technologically driven way that we now communicate. But there's also the underpinning of what a crazy time this is, what a sad time this is, what a difficult time this is. We know that there are people who are not here at this event because they can't be, because they're on a job now, or they're taking care of family or friends, or they're sick themselves. They're sick themselves. And we know that there is a lot of anxiety rife in their community about what's going to happen to those graduates, to you graduates, and your next steps, the uncertainty that you'll face, and the uncertainty of our students who are returning and new students coming in next year. We are all in a very, very turbulent time, and I just really need to acknowledge that and acknowledge how important, how crucial our community has been to keep us all together in these last 3 months that have been really hard. And all of us have made efforts in our own way, with our own expertise, with our own skills, with our own energy, with our own compassion, with our own way of relating, that has been powerful and supportive and has helped get us through to this point now, which is a huge celebration. We're not only ending an academic year, we're ending an academic year that has seen more turbulence than I think any of us can remember. And to those of you who are graduating, extra hats off to you. You've completed your course of study in the most trying of times, already difficult course of study, but here you've been asked to do, as Professor Ivanova points out many, many times, and she's going to wait till anybody tells her otherwise, of performing the very first virtual thesis defense, dissertation defense. She has said that it's been in McCormack, but I'm sure she wants to say in UMass Boston and perhaps in the world as well. Really, I've been to many of those, and the poise and grace that you students have completed that exercise with has been astounding, because I've been there when there are times where the technology wasn't quite working, and yet you at least seemed very calm in the face of that. Not only were you facing your committee and members of the community, but you were facing Zoom that wasn't working, that wasn't showing a screen, that the audio wasn't working, and it's very impressive. And I think that we all have stories like that. We all have stories of facing the difficulties of the last 3 months, and through our own grit and our own perseverance, and with lots and lots of support from our colleagues and friends and loved ones, we have succeeded. And it's taken that community here at UMass Boston and at the McCormack Graduate School, from the Dean's office, you'll hear from Kiki Medozi in a moment, to all of our faculty, to the incredible staff that we hear too little about, who make sure that scheduling happens, that Zoom meetings happen, that payroll happens, that invoices are processed, all of the many, many things that happen. And in fact, to that effect, I just want to thank Rochelle and Jack and Hannah, who were behind making today's event happen. So thank you so much, at least the three of you, but there's been tons who've worked on that. With that, we have a very exciting schedule today. As you can see on your screen, former Governor Deval Patrick is going to be speaking with us starting at about 4:30. But prior to that, we're going to announce all of the student awardees, and there are many, many. If we get to 4:30 and haven't gotten through them all, we'll just take a break so that we can get Governor Patrick online and come back to them. So don't worry if we don't get to the end of the awards. And we're lucky enough to have him for about a half hour. I think he'll speak for about 15 minutes, and then he'll take Q&A. We'll run Q&A. If you have questions, you can chat them to me or chat them to everyone. There's also the email address that was sent out earlier. You can do it that way, and I'll try to get as many questions to him as possible. Really exciting to have him here today. After that, from 5 to 5:30, we're going to have somewhat of a less structured time, but I want to give the opportunity for all of you in the community to speak about what you might have gratitude about. Short sentence, a sentence. This is what I have gratitude about, or this is what I'm grateful for, and try to get as many people who want to say something. We'll also have Interim Chancellor Catherine Newman come during that time. We don't know exactly what time, but when she comes in, we'll let her join us and say a couple of words as well. So that's the schedule. And why don't we go on to our next part of this, which is Associate Dean Kiki Dozie. Kiki.
Okay, hi everyone. This is not a graduation ceremony, but it's an end of year celebration. So I'm gonna address my comments to everyone, students, staff, and faculty. We all labored in this one. Wow, McCormack Beacons, what a year. What a year. As a policy school, we started out with a lot of excitement around fall 2019, being a precursor for what we thought would be an exciting 2020. It was going to be an election year. We had several feisty Your Congress sessions, lots of pizza and policy town halls, and debates about the candidates. As a global studies school, we welcomed a student body from all over the world who invited us to learn about their country's policies and politics in ways that we could also contribute. When spring 2020 finally came, it began with interesting challenges. We were the first in the state and fourth in the nation to report a coronavirus case. And we handled it together with all of our greatness of Beacon solidarity, ranging from keeping everyone healthy on campus, but also to ensuring a climate of racial tolerance. So look, with almost 100,000 of our fellow Americans passed away as a result of this pandemic, it's difficult to even imagine a silver lining. But we are educators. We turn experiences like this into teachable moments. I know that you are all impacted by the pandemic in diverse and critical ways, in addition to the 100% of us globally whose lives have been thrown upside down in the air because of higher educational closures. But you are also essential workers supporting our state, our country, and the world, quite frankly, our remote workload. You're also parents, I know, juggling a new form of online homeschooling. So it's been quite a moment to experience this with you. AY 2019-2020 will be a year to remember. And there is a silver lining. The memory of this crisis will stay with you, with us, for the rest of our lives and likely shape our future. Our future experiences, whatever they will be. And finally, to the graduates among us, there has to be some pomp and circumstance. You are the real class of 2020. You embody the notion of a special. You carry it with a badge of honor that you graduated experiencing a whole new mode of education and life. You are now ready, I think, for anything. Best of luck. Best of luck, class of 2020. Thank you.
Unmute. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kiki. I still have not gotten used to the no noise clapping, but I think that you could see a lot of people clapping after you spoke. Thank you so much. So we're moving now into our awards part of this. I think, as many of you know, at the end of, during commencement, we have a separate reception after commencement, usually in person. Obviously, we're not doing it this year, but we wanted to announce the awards. There will be an in-person ceremony next year, and that will be held at the same time as commencement is for the entire university. And but we wanted to give the opportunity for the department chairs and graduate program directors and others to announce the awards from each of the different programs. So why don't we shift over to that? And I know that Rochelle is going to be running the PowerPoint, and each department chair, I believe we start now with the Department of Conflict Resolution, Human Security, and Global Governance. So
Okay.
Professor Q.
Okay, thank you. We've got our event shortly after this, so our students are going to hear a lot more from me later, so I'll keep it short and sweet, but maybe I'll just start off with a quick gratitude, as you mentioned earlier. I just want to thank the whole team in our department, which really, as you said, David, stepped up and has managed some extremely difficult circumstances. Paul Cohort, Stacy Vanderveer, Eben Weitzman, Kelly Ward, Lee Murphy, and Charlotte Numby. I want to thank all 6 of you for making this semester a success and for getting us through this. For our department awards, so we're going to hear a lot more about these later, but let me just read off quickly for the department the awards and who the winners are, to acknowledge those, and to just say also I'll be reading the International Relations Program Awards as well. So, so the first award for our department is the Ronnie Lipton Student Mentor Award, which goes to Crystal Gale O'Neill. Congrats to Crystal Gale. The Ambassador John W. McDonnell Award for Leadership and Innovation in Global Governance and Conflict Resolution. That award goes to Ashraf Amiri. Ashraf, congratulations, well done. For the Conflict Resolution Program Awards, we have the Academic Excellence in Conflict Resolution Award, which goes to Caitlin Burns. Caitlin, congrats, well done. And then the Conflict Resolution Convocation Award, which is the book award, goes to Jennifer Moya Castano. Jennifer, congratulations, well done. The Donald Paulson Service Award in Conflict Resolution goes to Michael Rosinski. Mike, well done, congratulations. For Global Governance and Human Security PhD Program Awards, the first award in Global Governance and Human Security Excellence in Dissertation Research Award, this goes to 2 folks, to Charles Brackett and to Abigail Kabandula. Abigail, Charles, well done. Good work to both of you. The Global Governance, Human Security Excellence in Community Engagement and Leadership Award. This goes to Michael Scanlon. Michael, well done. Congrats to you. For the International Relations Master's Program Awards, the Convocation Award for Academic Excellence in International Relations goes to Kristin Hynes. Kristin, congrats to you. The award for Outstanding Achievement in International Relations goes to Marielle Guerrero. Marielle, well done. Congratulations to you. And then last but not least, the Masters International Relations Capstone Thesis Award goes to Marianne Camunya. Marianne, congratulations, well done. My congratulations to all of you. And as I said, in our event at 5:30, we'll go a little bit greater into depth in some of these things. And we'll also acknowledge our graduates as well. David, thank you.
All right, thank you, Darren. Now on to the Department of Gerontology.
Hi, this is Jeff Burr. I'm the chair of the Department of Gerontology, and I'll be naming the award winners today. I just want to echo what Darren and Kiki and Dean Cash have said. We're impressed and grateful to everyone. I am especially grateful to the gerontology community for a successful year in difficult times. And I would also like to note that even though we're announcing some awards today for some achievements, all of our students performed admirably during these difficult times. So, ready to go?
Yeah.
So the first award is the Gerontology Scholarship Award, and that goes to Cindy Bowie. Congratulations, Cindy. The Gerontology Service Award goes to Natalie Shalito, who constantly steps up to help us keep things moving. And the Gerontology Book Award goes to Hawaii Wang. We had 7 dissertations this past spring defended, and we want to recognize Hawaii for outstanding award, or book, sorry. So we had 3 Gerontology Capstone Awards. Normally we only have 2, but this time we had such a deep pool that we extended to 3. The first Capstone Award for the Management of Aging Services program goes to Cheryl Demirdogen. Congratulations. The second goes to Kate Martin. Very well done. And the final one goes to Melanie Ranger. I do want to give a shout out to Nina Silverstein, our faculty member who ran the capstone project this year. She did a fantastic job with the students.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jeff. And the Department of Public Policy? Okay.
Hi, this is Heather McIndoe. I'm the Public Policy PhD GPD, and I am here to share 2 awards, our book award winners. I want to also extend congratulations to the 12 graduates that we have, 12 PhD graduates in academic year 2019-2020. Everyone did a great job. So our 2 book award winners are Catalina Barachoa and Luke Kapanton. So congratulations to Luke and to Catalina.
Great.
Hi, everyone. This is Michael Johnson, Chair of Department of Public Policy and Public Affairs. Sorry, I was muted a minute ago. I want to welcome you all on behalf of the department, and I want to give 2 awards. The first is the Richard A. Hogarty Award for Academic Excellence to a graduate and MPA student. And this year's award goes to Michelle Haimowitz. Congratulations, Michelle. The second award goes to the MPA graduate who best exemplifies the mission of the MPA program to a commitment to public service and achievements in the area of public service and community leadership. And this award also goes to Michelle Haimowitz. And congratulations so much to Michelle. I'm going to turn it over now to Michael Ahn, Director of the Master of Public Administration program.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here, and congratulations to everyone who's graduating in this unusual time. I have 4 awards to give. The first award is Matthew P. Sullivan Cohort Award. This award is given to MPA graduate who has been most instrumental in supporting the cohort and creating a sense of community. And the award goes to Carla Thomas this year. Congratulations, Carla. Well done. And the next award is the Carol Torto Memorial Scholarship. And this award was established in memory of the wife of Raymond Torto, Professor of Economics and Director of the Dan McCormack Institute. And the award is designed to defray some of the expenses, and is awarded to a student with the highest academic performance after the first year. And the award goes to Derek Silver. Good job, Derek. And lastly, the highlight of our award from MPA programs, the Best Capstone Award. As you can imagine, this was a difficult time to do data collection with all the interviews getting canceled and so on. But Amy and I are really happy to see the quality of capstone the students were able to produce. We are very proud of them. And we had to mull over some candidates because they're so good. But this year we chose to give that award to 2 students. And then the first student is Madison Lacure. Very well done. Congratulations. And the same award also goes to Nakita Burns. Very well done again, and congratulations.
Okay, I think that Kiki Adozi is next up.
Okay, well, let me join my colleagues, the dean and the chairs and the awardees, and congratulating you for such great success. The dean's office has several awards. The first award goes to the McCormack Scholar Award for Public Service. We have two awards. One is for Tanushri Barnes. Let's give her a round of applause. And sharing in that award is, okay, we missed a public service award. I'm sorry, we're all over the place. Okay, Jeffrey Moya is also a McCormack Scholar Award for Public Service. Let's give them both a round of applause, please. And then I'll speed light through. I know the former governor is waiting. We do have an outstanding doctoral student award that goes to John Michael Denny of the Global Governance and Human Security Program. Let's give him a round of applause. As well, we have the outstanding Master's Student Award going to Kate Martin from the Gerontology Program, the Master's in Aging Services Program. Let's give her a round of applause. And then we have, let me have the dean announce this very special award.
So one of the awards that we do now every year through the Dean's Office Student Success is to honor a graduate program director, since they are intimately involved with student success. And this year, the Outstanding Student Mentorship Award for a graduate program director goes to Ellen Burchander in the Masters in Aging Services program in the Gerontology Department. Great job, Ellen. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a few more Dean's Office Student Ambassador Awards, a certificate for participating in our Student Ambassador Program. Patricio Beloy from Public Policy, thank you, we can speed through this. Yakub Daha from Conflict Resolution. Joan Hu, I believe from Gerontology. Osagi Ihege from Public Policy, Ziki Emily Lim from Gerontology, and Jeffrey Moya again from Public Policy, and Olanike Ojelabi from Public Policy, and Crystal Gale O'Neill from Global Governance and Human Security, and Jamakon Rayab from Conflict Resolution. Thank you all student ambassadors. You made this year, just wonderful for your fellow students and certainly for your faculty and for us in the Dean's Office. Thank you for all your service and support. And then, a number of you students participated in the Dean's Office Success Student Travel Program. We can quickly go through them if we have time. Alison Bacha, congratulations on your fantastic research. Sudeshna Chatterjee, your fantastic research as well. Nadia Filomonova, thank you. Christopher Graham, congratulations to you, Chris, as well. Namish Kilametsi Seti, and Perry Levis, and Ziki again, Emily Lim, Lena Masquad, Lindsay McCann, Jeffrey again, Crystal Gale O'Neill again, David Sulueski, and all our recipients of this year's Travel Award. Congratulations. I hope that your research went well despite the challenging times. Congratulations to you all. Two special awards, last awards. This is the Africa Scholars Forum, which is a special program in the Policy and Global Studies School. Two students, two of our doctoral students. One is Rose Nyando from the Public Policy PhD program, received the Fatima Kiari Mohammed Scholarship Award. Congratulations to Rose. And Timothy Advilla from the PhD program in Global Governance and Human Security was the additional awardee of the Fatima Kiari Mohammed African Union Award. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations to you all and to you both. Congratulations really to the class of 2020.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kiki, and thanks to all the faculty and department chairs and GPDs who were part of that, and for everybody for contributing to this part of the program. And of course, this was a notation to many of the award winners, but again, I think as Kiki noted earlier, this end of year celebration is not just about graduation, it's about how we collectively as a community made it through this year, which in regular times would be quite an accomplishment, and now is even more so. So that was, and thank you very much for the speed with which you went through that. We're all set for Governor Patrick. He should be here any moment, we're hoping, see how this works. But I also just wanted to reflect on a couple of other notions that I've been thinking about in the last couple of weeks. One is about, one of the most important in my mind is about public service. And we are here in this university that has an ethos about public service, but we're particularly here at the McCormack Graduate School of Public Policy, Global Studies. And we know that faculty are here because of their mission in public service. And we know that you are here as students to learn the kinds of tools to become public servants, to be the best public servants that you can be. And this has been a really challenging time, I think partly because we've seen public service fail us. Kiki mentioned the numbers who have died, and there's a lot of analysis that showed not all of those deaths needed to happen, and one could claim that poor public policy, poor implementation led to that. And that should be an inspiration, I think, to you as you go on into the world in terms of how you use your tools to avoid these kinds of problems. I have just heard a chat that Governor Patrick is here. Let me see if we can get him unmuted.
I think I'm unmuted.
Oh, you are unmuted.
Great.
Thank you so much, Governor, for being here today. We really appreciate it. The timing is perfect. We've just gone through a half hour of honoring our graduates who have won awards. But I think, as I told you, this celebration is not just about the graduates, but it's an end of year celebration after quite a year. And let me just say what an honor and pleasure it is to introduce former Governor Deval Patrick. He has spent a distinguished career in both the public and private sectors, and has succeeded in a way that many of us, as I was just talking about before you got on, to aspire to in our career. And that is, you have made people's lives better. Bottom line, that's what you have done with your work. And what a distinguished career that's been. He has been the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights in the Justice Department in the Clinton administration, General Counsel at Fortune 500 companies. And when elected in 2007, he was the first Black governor of Massachusetts and only the second to be elected governor in the United States. Great for him, shame on our country. 2007. That's just, and that hasn't changed. During his 2 terms, he advanced a progressive agenda that was the envy of other states, and delegations from other countries often visited to see what he was implementing, whether it was healthcare, education, gun rights, gay marriage, K-12 education, public safety. You may remember that he navigated the aftermath of the marathon bombing in a way that was both compassionate and hard-headed, a rare combination. And in my area, I was lucky enough to call him my boss for 8 years in climate, environment, clean energy. And in those areas, he was a path breaker. But as I mentioned, he didn't just kind of combine both like policy acumen and getting the job done for people's lives. He could articulate the role of government and speak to people in a way that few politicians can. I remember a moment at a town hall, I think somewhere on the South Shore. And I'm not sure you remember this, you went to many of these. but a gentleman stood up and quite belligerently castigated the governor for a regulation that he was doing on childcare that the man felt was taking away his rights. And the governor listened very carefully, very calmly reflected back to the man what he had said, and very calmly and respectfully explained to the man in very clear language why he made the decision that he made. And even though he didn't pander to him, he told it like it was in a way that was incredibly respectful. And that was a hallmark of his governorship. And he always connected to regular people. His way that he asked us in agencies to do things was, sure, get the policy right, but remember, there are people that are at the end of your policy. There are people who are trying to make ends meet. There are people who want their kids to be educated, to put food on the table. And he always spoke of the role of government and governance in ways that now would be an antidote to the current virus of cynicism in our government that has actually made the coronavirus much, much worse. And with all of these accolades, it is the highest compliment he got from my mother, who met him a couple of times. And after he met him, and obviously she listened to how I described him, said, "Oh, he is such a mensch." You don't get a higher compliment than that. The governor also had an affinity for UMass Boston, and during his time as governor, he focused on the UMass system, knowing that a public research university system is the key to opportunity to the underserved. And he particularly focused on our campus, the urban public research university. It was during his administration that the new science building, University Hall, the infrastructure upgrades were all started under that administration. And when he left office, there's a chair named for him, the Deval Patrick Chair in Social, Political, and Economic Innovation. Given our turbulent times, we haven't been able to launch it, but we will. And he now talks about the importance of the stake, and always has, the importance of the stake that we have in each other, whether it's our neighbors, our other community members, people we disagree with, or future generations. So let me, with that, let you take the floor, Governor. It's a delight. We know that you'll speak for some time. I'll be collecting some Q&A. And when you're done speaking, if we have time, I'll throw some questions at you. Does that make sense?
That's great. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate that extravagant introduction. I can tell all of the graduates and faculty who are joining today that I am thrilled to be with you, and you will be thrilled that my opening remarks are shorter than David's extravagant introduction. What a time for all of you to be emerging on the scene. I was having my wife and I were having dinner with our daughters the other day, and our youngest daughter got her graduate degree in psychology about a year ago and started her family practice. And she and her wife were together with us at dinner, her wife just having gotten her master's in social work. And Diane, my wife, said to them, gee, I'm so sorry that you're graduating under circumstances like these, meaning during COVID-19. And our younger daughter, Catherine, replied, what are you talking about? She said, disruption is all we know. We graduated from college in the middle of the Great Recession, and she reminded us that she and our daughter came out of school with the expectation, or we're approaching graduation with the expectation of real jobs in hand that were gone by the time they graduated. And now they are grown-up professionals emerging into the world with, in our youngest daughter's case, with a graduate degree, and in the midst of more turmoil. Disruption is what she knows, and in many respects what each of you knows. On the one hand, I feel with her, as I do with you, that I want to express my apologies and regrets that we haven't left you a better world, a more sustainable environment, a more just society. But the bigger truth, I think, is that this is exactly what you have prepared for. Right now, and these circumstances are exactly what you have prepared for. And they underscore how much we need you. You have trained to be government and civic leaders at a time and for a time, sadly, when trust in government is low, when civic commitments are frayed, and when leadership is lacking. We need government that can competently and effectively help people help themselves, whether that's in the midst of crisis or in regular times. We need a community that understands, as David was saying, that we have a stake in each other's dreams and struggles as well as our own, an idea that has been overtaken by the myth of self-reliance and personal responsibility, as if that is all that any of us in America have ever needed. And we need leaders who are both hard-headed and big-hearted, who are both analytical and serious about facts, but also understand through empathy that it's people at the end of the policy, on the other side of policy, that make the difference and are the reason why leadership is entrusted. I think you all will have, because of the range of challenges in front of us, lots and lots of choices. And I urge you, as I have a lot of people recently, to beware of the false ones. I am an ardent and longtime loyal Democrat. I don't think you have to hate Republicans to be a good Democrat. In the same way, I don't think you have to hate business to be a social justice warrior, or to, hate police to believe Black Lives Matter. We get sold constantly in this political environment, this notion that our choices are always binary, that we have to be on one side or the other, instead of finding the elemental justice and fairness in the situation and drawing all sides to that by showing fealty to that. And I'm hoping that you will help me and help each other and the many, many others who want to push past the false choices so that we can focus on the real ones, the ones between justice and injustice, between hate and love, between inclusion and exclusion, between whether, that old, ancient, and in some ways unresolved question in America about whether we actually want to be a country where we act in common for the common good. So I think the moment is exactly right for you, as fraught as it is. It's exactly the purpose for which the McCormack School was founded and is so beautifully led. And I'm counting as a citizen on each of you stepping up. So it's great to be with you. I wish you every good thing. Lord knows we need you right now. Thank you.
Excellent. I think I'm on mute. Yes, I am. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Governor. Really appreciate that. I know that there'll be folks who have questions for you, but let me start with one, and others can chime in through chat, and I can get them to him. And that is, on the one hand, it's the exact time for us, for the graduates, right? Yeah. And yet it's just so turbulent and can be seen as, why bother? There's, mount barriers and amongst barriers for us. What are ways that you keep optimism up? How do you keep your idealism?
It's interesting you ask it quite that way, because optimism is probably one of a half dozen leadership lessons I think are absolutely critical. We all know, and I'm not just referring to President Trump. In so many ways, we are lacking civic and political leadership. We are lacking people who can help us envision or imagine a different future and then reach for it. And you can't do that without optimism. Now, that is not the same thing as being a hopeless or witless dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to plot a course, but I think the best leaders through our history have been very hard-headed, as they're very clear about what the reality is, but also very hopeful about what the vision for a better future would be. And they understood that leadership isn't just the plan, although that's a part of it. It's the tone you set. It's the expectations that you raise of others, right? So I get I was on one of these Zoom things earlier. Is anybody as sick of Zoom as I am? I cannot wait to be in a room with other people. I was on a Zoom thing earlier today with some high schoolers from Lowell who have been doing a series of interviews with various people about leadership, about optimism, and in the case of these high schoolers, I made the point, I take a lot of optimism from them. The fact that they're interested in these topics, that they can break away from their screens and their games and their grief, frankly, about not having the company of their colleagues, and try to make something of the moment, try to internalize some lessons and some ideas that when the moment comes, they can bring into the world. I think that's a pretty exciting thing.
Here's a question from a graduate. What would your advice be to graduates who are looking to put their skills to use but can't find an opportunity to do so now?
Well, so I guess it'd be easier to answer that question if I knew what particular skills this person is asking about. But if the question is the ability to get, into public service, there's more than one way to serve. This is the first thing I want to say. It's not all a public job or an appointment or a candidacy for office. Serving in a community, being a role model in a community, serving in a community organization, starting with volunteering if you can't get the job, all of that is vital service, and all of it we need right now. More specifically, if there is a Democratic administration in Washington come November, the amount of rebuilding that has to happen is breathtaking. And a lot of that is not going to be headline grabbing. It's going to be basic stuff about how you repopulate agencies that where the responsibility once was, gathering and reporting actual facts instead of trying to ignore them or gloss over them or bury them, as the case may be. Just think about what's been happening with the inspectors general in the last, little while, last few weeks, really. And if you are not interested in joining a Democratic administration, or if it isn't the fact that it's a Democrat, but simply if you're interested in functioning government, just the puts and takes of making it work, then go anyway. Go now. The Trump administration isn't doing a lot of hiring, but if he wins a second term, he's going to have to, because you can't just let the thing dissolve forever before somebody says, look, we actually need the VA to work. We just forget about what you think about, this or that program. We need a functioning VA, or we need a functioning Defense Department. And, for a long time, I remember when I worked in the Clinton administration as head of the Civil Rights Division, I first went in thinking, oh my God, I wonder how many of these people actually believe in civil rights. We were coming in after 12 years of Republican leadership. And it turns out the place was full of career attorneys who believed in the job of enforcing the law. And given an agenda, they would follow that agenda. And if it was a, progressive and forward-leaning agenda, they were there, provided it was actually law enforcement. So we need good career public servants who aren't motivated by partisanship alone.
Great. Here's one that's very timely, and I think there's been a lot written about it. With the pandemic causing such deep distress in people's lives, do you see an opportunity to fundamentally change the social contract in the way the Great Depression allowed?
Thank you for that question.
Will this be more like the Great Recession, where people are eager to return to the old normal?
So I think, that old adage about how with every crisis comes an opportunity. I think this is a unique time, and it would be a shame if the moment was lost to not to sort of do a number of things radically or profoundly differently than we have been doing. It's the thing I think is such an opportunity for the Biden campaign to sort of revamp or rethink, re-energize their policy platform so that it is much more forward-leaning. And the reason for that is I think that COVID-19 has exposed so much of the policy neglect for so long. We were really just beginning over the last few years to talk about big issues around universal access to care, affordability of colleges and universities, economic mobility, or what we usually talk about as income inequality. I grew up poor. We didn't care that we weren't raised to resent rich people. What we were raised to believe is that if we worked really hard, played by the rules, and had help along the way, we could be them. People don't believe that anymore. And by the way, it was an incredible leap of faith for those old Black people to tell me that on the South Side of Chicago, right? Given their experience in America. But right now, when you think about economic uncertainty, or you think about the inaccessibility or unaffordability of healthcare, if you think about the way opioids have come in to fill that void in so many communities, it's like the whole country is experiencing and mad about what we've known about for generations and experienced for generations on the South Side of Chicago, where I grew up. And to me, that's an opportunity to look right in the eye some of the things that have just been nagging injustices for a long time and reach for big and bold answers to that. I think Democrats in the course of the presidential primaries were trying to do that. And then, this is my own personal complaint or frustration, spending a tremendous amount of time on small differences between our answers to those needs, rather than trying to paint a picture of, about what addressing those needs would mean for all Americans and how profoundly different that would be from what's on offer today. So it's a long answer to a short and pointed question, but I think the time is absolutely right. And frankly, I think we as citizens ought to show a lack of patience for people who are in or seeking public office who propose less than that.
So it seems like the next question relates to that, and I think your answer is going to be yes to the first part, which is, would you agree that Donald Trump was elected in part because he appealed to the legitimate frustrations? And if so, are the Democrats doing any better in addressing those frustrations?
Well, so I think Donald Trump appealed. let me put it this way. I don't think all of the people, I think all of the racists voted for Donald Trump, but I don't think all the people who voted for Donald Trump are racist. Let me put it that way. So I think is the way John Walsh describes it so brilliantly. I think there was an appeal. You know, he said something that I remember during the 2016 campaign. It was one of those classic throwaway lines that had enough truth that it should have made people pause. When he said about African American voters, he said, you know, the Democrats haven't delivered for you. Why don't you take a chance on me? What have you got to lose? Mm-hmm. And, you know, the answer to the second part of the question, what have you got to lose? I could go all day on. Mm-hmm. But the answer to the first point about what Democrats, when given the chance, have not been able to accomplish is a lot harder, right? It's just a lot more, it's harder. Mm-hmm. And so I have felt, for that reason, I think I have felt before COVID, it was not going to be enough for our case as Democrats simply to say, you know, vote for us and we can go back to doing what we used to do. Because what we, and I don't mean Democrats, but we as an American society used to do has not been good enough for a whole lot of Americans of every type and kind from every corner of the country for a long time now. So do I think Democrats are getting it done? You know, I'm a typical Democrat. I'm always unsatisfied with whether we're getting it done. I think we have the opportunity to. I think we're at a, you know, at least in terms of a national campaign, we are in an inflection point, but we haven't inflected entirely yet. I think it's happening, but I don't think it's happened entirely yet.
So you've mentioned a little bit about partisanship. So here's a question from our Associate Dean, Kiki Dozie. I appreciate the way you capture the hyper-partisanship of contemporary American politics, but honestly, in today's political environment, it's hard not to be on the ideologically progressive side of the partisan divide. But can you provide more specific ways to achieve consensus on how to move the country forward in these times?
So I totally get that point. I also get the point, and I think it's implied in the comment and the question, that a lot of us are just really angry. Mm-hmm. You know, that so much cruelty is so central to so much of what comes from the Republican administration, and that so many what we thought of as pragmatic Republicans or compassionate Republicans have remained silent under the circumstances, and that is all of it outrageous and infuriating. I think, though, the language fails us. You know, Democrats have been running from the label liberal for a long time because the other side was extremely skillful in making that seem like it was bad. All we knew were taxes and spending. Because I think there's a reason for that, but we've been running from that for a long time. I think there was a view among the Democratic wise guys and gals that you had to seem a little Republican in order to be a successful Democrat. And I think we have been slow to call out the hypocrisy in so much, if hypocrisy still matters to anybody, the hypocrisy in so much of Republican talking points, as good as they are. You know, they have demonstrated a complete disregard for so-called fiscal responsibility. You know, deficits were terrible when President Obama was trying to spend money, and you know, since Trump's been in office, nobody mentions deficits anymore, just as one example. But I think when I say the language fails us, you know, during the presidential primaries, there were progressives and there were moderates. The progressives and the moderates together were talking about universal health care. Imagine that. But unless you were on the Medicare for all side, you were not a progressive. And it was, for me, bizarre as, you know, just watching it all unfold, because nobody else in America has delivered healthcare to 98% of its residents the way Massachusetts has. Nobody else has gotten that to that level. But we didn't do it with Medicare for all. It doesn't mean Medicare for all is bad. It's just there's more than one way to accomplish the goal. And so how does the language serve if the goal is to make sure everybody has access to affordable care, and you quibble over the means? So it's like, wait a second. This is what I mean by false choices. What we don't do, and what I think we must do to create a bridge, is to articulate or to paint a picture of the country we want to be, and make it plain that that is not about a country for people who vote Democratic or people who vote Republican. When we were working on, I mean, name it, expanding broadband, trying to get the cost of public higher ed moderated by increasing the state appropriation, healthcare, criminal justice reform. People aren't talking about, well, we got to do this in order to make sure that we are serving, Democratic voting residents. The growth strategy for job creation wasn't about partisan loyal affinity. It was about how we lift us all and how we make a path for all of us. And we don't do enough of that, from my perspective, as Democrats. We don't make it. We answer their partisan stuff with our own partisan stuff. Well, you're going to do that for the people who support you, so here's what we're going to do for the people who support us. So come on out. I get it. I get it. There's a certain amount of that has to be done, but it's not like we are speaking to the job that awaits after you win the election, which is serving everybody, whether they voted for you or not. I don't know if that's a very helpful answer, but
That's
right.
a great answer, and that brings us right up to 5 o'clock. And thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
was fantastic for you to carve out time to spend time with us to honor our graduates.
On a tie and everything. I haven't done that in weeks.
I was gonna ask about that, but really appreciate you putting on the tie for us today. But more importantly, giving us your insights and sharing your wisdom. We really appreciate that. So thank you so much. Good luck with
everybody.
everything.
God bless. Take good care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Great. Wow. Thank you very much for all the questions. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them. There were a whole host of good ones, and I think Rochelle and Jack just saved those questions. We'll put everything online. This is all being recorded as well. So we wanted to shift modes a little bit right now for the last half hour, if it takes a half hour. There are about 100 of us online. Many of us have been spending a lot of time in the last 2 months troubleshooting and solving problems and feeling frustrated. And I thought it would be nice to end this end of year celebration with gratitudes. I know that gratitudes, there's a lot of research now on kind of how people think about gratitudes and how being grateful really helps. And I will say, I think as some of you know, because an email went out a couple of weeks ago, that there's a meditation I do every morning that is heavily gratitude laden that I know helps me get through the day. And so I thought it'd be a nice way to end, is to just, if people want to, you raise your hand, or, and Jack, I think that you can unmute anybody, is that right? Let me just check with Jack if he can unmute everybody, or if you have to make people co-hosts to unmute. We'll figure that out. Or you can, Jack can unmute anybody. So you can raise hand with the raise hand function, which is in the participant. You click the participants at the bottom, and there's a little thing on the right that says raise hand. So you can raise your hand to say a gratitude, and Jack will unleash you. Remember, Catherine Newman may be joining us at some point during this, and if that happens, then we'll shift to her. She'll have a couple of words, but I thought it would be nice to start with that. So I'm going to start. Okay, great. Jack says yes, they can unmute themselves. So you can unmute yourself now. Jack doesn't need to unmute you. Thank you. So my gratitude is one that I think I mentioned a little bit at the beginning, but I am incredibly grateful for the people in this community, in the McCormack community, staff, faculty, students who have gone above and beyond during this time. And it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to focus. It takes a lot of effort because I know many people are in the midst of difficult, frustrating economic and health times. And every day I wake up and I feel incredibly grateful that this is a community that I'm part of. And that's mine. Unmute yourself. I have not gotten any hand raising.
This is Christine Brenner,
Great.
and what I'm really grateful for is how empathetic everyone has been throughout this process. And I know many of you know that my mother, who is 92 in a nursing home, has COVID-19. And I want to share that I am so grateful for technology and for the nurses that allow me to actually see her. I've seen her 3 times since March the 9th. And I'm just so grateful for all the frontline workers and how supportive our students who are themselves frontline workers and the level of commitment they've shown to the program. But this has been very much a semester in which the give and take between faculty and student has been much more equalized through empathy. Thank you.
Many of you have heard me tell the story that I used to be a middle school teacher. And so whenever I asked a question, I heavily read the research that showed you have to give a lot of time sometimes for people to answer a question and don't just jump in. So I'll just wait. And I'm sure there are others who have reason to be grateful. Looks like Kate Martin.
I'm grateful for all of you for putting this program together today. I know it's not an easy thing putting this type of program on, and you also are giving your time, your energy, all the enthusiasm. It makes me feel special. And I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. I can guarantee that. So I just thank you all for doing this for us. It made today even more special. So thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
This is Anita Miller, and I put my gratitude in the chat, but thanks for doing this, and congratulations again to all the awardees.
Thanks, Anita. Great having you with us.
This is Michael Johnson. I want to thank everyone who in these times has taken a genuine interest in each other. Normally, when we greet each other and say, how you doing, we don't even bother to respond before getting down to business. And these days, many of us really care that our minds are right, that our families are with us, and that we're doing okay. And it brightens my day, and it may brighten many of yours as well.
Thanks, Michael.
David, I'd like to say thank you for this. This is amazing. I'm also really grateful to our students. A lot of our students are on the front lines. They're working really hard. Their days are not like anything I could possibly imagine. And yet they are inspiring and present. And so I feel like I get so much more than I could possibly give from them.
This is Maria Ivanova. I'd like to echo what Ellen just said, and I am deeply impressed by the students that we have in our school, and it has been a real pleasure teaching on Zoom, 3 hours. And I know we say we're sick of Zoom, but I'm so grateful for that opportunity, and actually being together and holding each other's in our thoughts at this time has been several of my students are frontline workers working in labs, or the manager of a Dunkin' Donuts is now a frontline worker, and it has been quite the experience for them. And I have to say, congratulations to Michael Denny, because yes, this was the first ever online dissertation defense at UMass Boston, and we had to change from May 11th, when our campus closed, till March 11th, when the campus closed, to March 13th, when the defense was scheduled. And we had a choice: do not have the defense, have the defense just with the committee. And we said, no, there is a third choice: open the defense to everybody. And we had 50 people from 5 countries. So this will be a requirement in our PhD program from now on, since I'll be GPD from September. So I am actually grateful for this opportunity and for the opportunity to make what happened policy. So just to inform you. But no, congratulations to Michael for doing a fantastic job with literally from one day to the other.
Great. I see Robert Camarada has his hand up.
Yes, I would like to point out at a comment about Jeff Pugh on the room. I hope everybody got to see that. I certainly appreciate the fact that he was the integrated seminar class. I don't think we made it without him. He's an awesome teacher. I often have told Jeff that I'm very saddened by the fact that we're not able to go to South America this summer. I really was looking forward to that. It totally bummed me out over the fact that we were not able to go. But, you know, I've been a mental health counselor for over 30 years. I got very annoyed and moved on. So I'm moving on, and I think that we all need to move on as professionals and students and professors. We just need to move on and look at this semester as a learning experience, because who knows how long this is going to continue. I also want to show my appreciation to Darren and Eben. They're great people. I appreciate the fact that I was allowed to be a graduate assistant for this semester. It was awesome. I appreciate all the help you gave me, and thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Great. I see Bob Turner. You're on. Wait. You're muted, Bob. Uh-oh.
How about that?
There you go.
Is that better? So I wanted to compliment Maria on the hat, and it looked great. And I think she really demonstrates the academic side of the one point that I wanted to make, is that within the dean's office, I think it's such a cliche to say that every crisis is an opportunity, but I think, David, you and everybody in your office has really turned this very quickly into an opportunity. You and Rochelle in particular, and Jack and Kiki, who I think has turned 180 degrees, correct me if I'm wrong, Kiki, but together I think everybody has really explored new opportunities and see that there is some frustrations with Zoom, but there's some ways that it can might provide lessons that we could have learned sooner or later. And we're forced to learn them sooner, and it's going to color what we do in the future. And we're all on the ride. So thank you for pushing that and making it something positive.
Great, thanks, Bob. Len Fishman.
Hi, everybody. As the director of the Gerontology Institute, it is tempting to thank frontline caregivers in the entire field of long-term services and supports, which has been the bullseye of the pandemic. And it's also tempting, as many have done, to thank the McCormack community. But I'd like to offer a gratitude that's a little grittier. It's a gratitude for a paycheck. And I say that because when I was growing up, I'm 68, getting a paycheck wasn't that remarkable. Most people worked at jobs where the income they received was more or less guaranteed from week to week. One of the things that the pandemic has lifted to the surface, this is not news to most of us, is how many people can't count on a paycheck anymore. How many people are working for companies that have made their fortunes by stripping benefits and other things that we took for granted years ago. And I say this in part to our graduates as a reminder that things weren't like this a few decades ago, and you shouldn't assume that they have to be this way going forward. This gig economy is a terrible deal with the devil. And some of the results of what we have fashioned for ourselves are on display in a way that is more powerful, although it's been going on for a very long time. And so I'm actually left considering the privilege and the shrinking proportion of people in our society who have the privilege of the economic security that comes with a paycheck. It's not a guarantee, but it's a heck of a lot better than people who are really on their own.
Thank you, Len. Really appreciate that. All right, we have our interim chancellor, Catherine Newman, has joined us. So if she can be unmuted, Jack. Oh, great, she is. And let me just say, Chancellor, I want to thank you very much. You've had your hand on the tiller of our university for the last 2 years during really shaky times. And it must be frustrating for you to feel like we were getting out of those times in January and February, and then the pandemic hits. But then you stepped up to assure safety on our campus, to assure that we could be moving forward from a fiscal perspective, to assure that we are going to be heading into next year with a new chancellor on as steady footing as we possibly can. You've been creative. You've launched our new UA advancement team that's been very helpful. So, and it's great now that you're taking time to be with us today. So why don't I give the mic over to you, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, David. And I want to offer my congratulations to everyone at the McCormack School. It is nice to have something to celebrate, isn't it? It's been quite a haul these last couple of months, and hard to remember that our campus was the first one to actually experience a positive COVID case, which launched us immediately into the kinds of emergency measures and quarantines that everyone else became familiar with about 2 months later. And I have to say that it's at a time like that that an institution's mettle is really tested. And I think, all things considered, UMass Boston has done spectacularly well to serve its communities and to adapt to these challenges in learning modalities. I wish I was leaving the campus on that kind of upswing David mentioned. I think, in fact, it's going to be a very difficult ride going forward, as it will be for pretty much everybody in this economy. I couldn't agree more with Len that part of what has happened is to expose all of the fractures of inequality that you have been studying in your classrooms and thinking about in your thesis work. I think about this especially when I consider the communities around us, communities of color around us, the working class communities that have been so hard hit by this pandemic. It does make us realize that many of us are far more fortunate and have not experienced that level of illness and economic decline that is now rampant through so many communities that surround UMass Boston. But it also tells me that this institution has a very special mission. You all know that anyway, but I think it is thrown into very high relief now. It is the institution that will allow the young people in the communities around us to go forth and find their way. It's the institution that will help to keep them connected to employers and to opportunities going forward. They will depend on you more than ever. And more than ever, it is important for the university to stay that course. A lot of very difficult decisions are going to come its way in the next 2 years. And when you look back at previous recessions, they were not kind to universities, and I expect that it's going to be a difficult moment. But I also have complete confidence in the university's ability to rise above it, to find its way forward, to rest on those incredible strengths that you have both in the classroom and in the communities around us, and to rest on the confidence of elected officials who know how important UMass Boston is. It has genuinely been an honor for me to serve you, and I will be in the system office rooting for you and doing what I can to be helpful to the cause of UMass Boston, which I now understand much better than I did when I first arrived 2 years ago. I'm grateful to the deans and all of the program leaders, Kiki, people that I've had a chance to work with a little bit along the way these last 2 years, but most of all to the students who are the heart and soul of the institution. They are the people that make it all worth it. They are the people we remember when we think about why we value what we do. And I have never been on a campus where that message was more clearly understood than this one. It is the first thing faculty say to me when they talk about what they value about the institution. It all comes back to the students. And aren't you lucky? Aren't we all lucky that that's exactly the way you feel? Thank you, David, for giving me this chance to congratulate everyone on your extraordinary success.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much for carving out your time. And I know it's an incredibly busy schedule that you have. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Are there other folks? We have about 10 minutes left, and I don't see any other hands right now, but maybe there are some others.
Hi, I'd like to speak. I'm a student. My name's Nikita Burns. I just want to say quickly on a personal level, in terms of my gratitudes, I was a part-time student and I had a lot of support from Professor Amy Smith and from Professor Michael On, and without them, I don't know if I was going to be able to get through the last 3 years. There's been plenty of very helpful faculty in the MPA program, Melissa Kwashi, Professor Mads, everybody's been so wonderful. So I want to give that shout out to them for being absolutely phenomenal and helpful in giving me the encouragement necessary to pursue my degree and get it. So thank you so much.
I want to say how important your words and the words of all the faculty and the administrators have been to me, and of course I believe to the rest of the students through this period. I remember early on you mentioned how I think your wife had suggested instead of social distancing, we use the term physical distancing. And I was so elated to hear that in the radio, soon after, shortly after you sent that email, that the radio picked it up, and started to use physical distancing as opposed to social distancing. And I mean, I have felt like I have enjoyed the company of a family, and especially, over through the years, I remember at the start of the program, thinking how and when the end was going to come. And I remember the words that keep echoing in my head right from the beginning with Provost Winston Langley, you know, and all through the rest of the faculty in the Conflict Resolution, Global Governance, and Human Security, you know, program. I longed every day to be a student as much as I looked forward, you know, to finishing. And the words have inspired me so much. And so I am very grateful to all of you who have led me along the way, and my colleagues, you know, kept me inspired and motivated all through the process up till now, that I see that, you know, I'm at the end of it. So thank you, and thank you to all of the staff, the faculty, and of course, my colleagues as well. Thank you.
I've been trying to find the raise hand button and can't, so I'll just unmute and jump in. A couple of folks have briefly brought it up. So I have two things I'm grateful for. And the first one, a couple of people have brought up, which is the staff is like the skeleton and heart of what all of us do. And I think that the staff in the McCormack School have been critical to our ability to be flexible in a violently turbulent context, educating the faculty, sort of serving as a bridge with students that are not able to just stop by the office like they normally would. So I'm always grateful for our staff and our department. Kelly and Lee and Charlotte are a critical part, and I know that happens at the dean's office and in other departments too. So thank you. And I guess the other piece is, because we are a global department, lots of our students right now are in other parts of the world. Mm-hmm. And that has, you know, presented lots of challenges, but it also really shows that community is something we get to define. It's not determined for us. And in our case, I think our community is encompassing globally. And the fact that we're able to make that work and maintain you know, the sense of community. Some of the little boxes on our screen right now are beaming in from all parts of the world. So I think that's a sort of special part of who we are that I really appreciate.
Thanks, Jeff. Time for one or two more, because I want to make sure, as you heard at the beginning, the Department of Conflict Resolution, Human Security, and Global Governance has their celebration in 5 minutes. So I want to give people time to take a break before that starts. So any last words?
Is there anyone else who wants to speak? All right, I just want to go back to your question, David. What are we grateful for? And, you know, ditto to everything that has been said. But I just want to sort of respond to the question by still reflecting on what the governor, you know, how the governor responded to my question, you know, which is to say that I'm grateful for good leadership. You know, in times when I'm not so grateful for leadership, thinking really that very negatively about the world, unfortunately. You know, I think, you know, spouts of leadership coming from, I think, the governor's words and wisdom, but not just, you know, the former governor's words, your own leadership, David, the chancellor's leadership, you know, and the progressive pockets of leadership around us that may not be apparent, you know, in the current state, but certainly, you know, is present, I think, in our student body, in our communities, both locally, nationally, and globally. But I am really grateful for good leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiki. Thank you for your leadership in the Dean's office. It's fantastic. Len, I see that you got a hand up. Do you have a last minute? No, okay. You're muted, but okay. Well, folks, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking time, especially on this gorgeous day, to join us for this celebration. For the graduates, congratulations, and the awardees, congratulations, and thank you so much for the students who are not graduating to be here and to be part of the community. We're going to be going through turbulent times, as Catherine made clear, but we're going to do it together. And we're going to be successful and innovative and entrepreneurial to make sure that's happened, and we'll be supporting each other as we make it through here. So congratulations, have a wonderful summer. I'm sure I'll be interacting with some of you throughout the summer, and I look forward to that. And good luck with wherever things take you, and good luck and stay healthy.